All right, what is up, guys? So this is going to be episode 2 of the Jarvis Podcast. So today I'm going to be getting into basically just some things about the Fire Academy. If you're interested in what the day-to-day is in the Fire Academy, what it takes to get into the Fire Academy, and then kind of just what my personal experience was. So for starters, getting into the Fire Academy. So a lot of academies are different. I went to a college academy. And basically the two types of academies you need to know about are going to be an academy that you take through school that you're basically putting yourself through. So you still have to meet all the requirements and apply and get accepted into their program, but it's a lot different than actually going to an academy from a fire department. So I'm in Southern California. There's a few different colleges that offer these types of programs, and once you're done with it, once you graduate, it's not a guarantee to graduate, but if you do, when you do, you will be a certified firefighter, and it opens up a lot of opportunities as far as where you're able to apply, because a lot of smaller fire departments, they don't have their own academy. Therefore, they want you to already show up with all the training, with all of your certifications, and essentially just being ready to go, and they put you into like a more short-term training program. So I'll touch a little bit on the fire department academies. So here in Southern California, you have places like Los Angeles County, Orange County, Long Beach, some of those larger departments where they're willing to hire people that have never been to an academy because they know that they're going to have to send you to their own. And so those longer term academies are usually like 16 weeks, 18 weeks. It totally varies depending on the department. For me at the college academy, it was a 16-week academy. So you're looking at about 4 months. And with that, basically to get in for me, I had to have my EMT license. So you go to EMT school, and then you go and take the national test. You get your state card, you get your national registry. It's called the NREMT. And so that's a test totally separate from what you do at school. You pass the course for EMT, then you take that course completion, and then you apply it into going into taking the national registry. So that's one of the main requirements, at least for me. I'm sure every place is a little bit different, but that kind of seems to be pretty standard. And then as far as academics go, they're going to want you to go and take their fire science classes. So a lot of college academies will let you transfer from one college to another if those courses are transferable. For me, I just took the classes at that school. I think I did most of them online. But for me, it was like 4 different fire science classes. Other schools are going to require more. Maybe others will do less. That was my experience. I was able to knock it out mostly online. And then so I had all of my online fire science classes done. I had my EMT license. And then some of the other stuff is a bit more basic, like your medical exam, your background check, fingerprints. I believe they do fingerprints for the academy. I can't really remember if it was for the academy or if it was for EMT. But either way, don't be surprised if you're required to do that with the background stuff. And then other basic stuff like being 18 or older, driver's license, things like that. So for the college academies, that's something that you're more than likely going to have to pay for out of pocket. And it is a full-time commitment. I know that there's some academies that might offer longer term academies that are more part-time. So if leaving work isn't an option for you, you got bills to pay, that could be an option for you as well. For me, I just kind of went for it with the full-time 4-month academy. There were a couple guys that were able to like pick up some shifts at like either a restaurant or an EMT job like over the weekend. For me personally, I just wanted to focus on getting through the academy. There's a lot of stuff that you have to do outside of the academy hours themselves, like studying and ironing your uniform and, prepping your food for the week, all that kind of stuff. So that's more so what I focused on during the weekends and just catching up on rest, of course. So for the academy, I'll kind of get into a bit more of like what a day in the life is. So I didn't really have too many expectations going into it. I was a fire explorer, like as a kid growing up. When I was like a teenager, essentially, like older teenager, I got involved. So I was there for about 3 years. So I had a little bit of experience as far as like training and doing drills with firefighters at a fire station. So I learned a lot about the culture and, what their expectations are. It's very professional. You're expected to be very disciplined. And they always emphasize that the academy and the fire service in general is paramilitary, meaning that they have the same sort of beliefs and values and things like that that the military does. That goes for firefighting, that goes for police officers, and then that goes for military. I'm sure other jobs and careers as well, but those are kind of the big three that they mentioned being paramilitary. So going in, everything is sir, yes, sir, ma'am, no, ma'am, things of that nature. Always showing respect and being disciplined and following directions. There's no talking back. There's no debating. Like, if someone's calling you out and, it's an instructor or something like that, even if you feel like, you might feel like you're being targeted, or you might feel like they're not fully understanding the situation, you have to kind of let your pride aside and just, take it, own it, tell them that you're not going to make that mistake again, or that you're going to change the way you were doing things. And it is tough, especially when you're in there day in and day out, early mornings and long nights. Just sometimes you'll have an instructor that tells you they want something done a certain way. Then the next instructor you're training with the next day or a few hours later is, asking why you're doing it that way and wants you to do it differently. So you just have to be ready to adapt to that. And it is tricky, but, just don't take it personally, and just remember that, they're there to help you, even if it doesn't feel like it. And once you're all done, you're going to be happy that you stuck with it, and that you got that training. So as far as kind of like the schedule goes at the academy, we were expected to get there at around 5:15, 5:30 in the morning or so. Our class, we started off with 41 people and ended up graduating only 28. So every class is going to be different. Some classes at that same school have gone in and barely lost anyone, and then other classes have lost even more. So it really just depends, but you kind of just have to do your best to not just focus on yourself, but focus on working as a team as well, because when you guys are all succeeding, you'll be able to help each other, meeting up on the weekends and studying, or when you guys are training, and you kind of help each other with, if you have a strength and someone else is struggling with that, like, take the time to help them out. That's just kind of, that goes for anything, obviously, especially in the fire academy. So getting there early, around 5:30 or so, we'd meet up outside the academy, and then it's all about the chain of command in the academy. So our academy was broken up into 4 groups, or 4 engines. And so engines 1, 2, 3, and 4 each had their own captain. And then the entire class as a whole had what was known as the BC, the battalion chief. And so that was just someone that we voted on, and we would rotate roles every 2 weeks. So our BC would go in the morning and go and see the chief, and the chief would kind of give him the rundown for what the day was going to be like, what to expect. And then the BC would also let the chief know, hey, everyone's here, we're ready to go. Hey, so-and-so forgot their shirt or whatever, or their helmet. It's like, okay, now like he's kind of, or he or she, that BC is going to be communicating, and that's just following the chain of command. So let's say that you are a member of your engine company, and you show up and you're like, man, I forgot my helmet. First off, don't do that, but stuff happens. So let's say, hey, I'm here. I just realized it's too late. I don't have time to go back home, or something happened, or my car breaks down on the way. I'm contacting my captain. Then my captain is going to contact the BC. Then the BC will be letting the chief know. Obviously, if there's like an emergency situation, at the school academy, at least, like, you can just go straight to the chief, like, hey, my car broke down, like, I'm going to be late, something like that. It's like, yes, you want to follow the chain of command, but also if it's like an emergency situation, your instructor will probably have a talk with you guys, with the whole class, and let you guys know what their preference is as far as the communication. Some might just say, never reach out to me unless you're BC, and then others will say that there's specific circumstances where you should. So basically that BC will go in, talk to the chief being like the director of the entire program, like our main primary instructor. Get the rundown, come back, then we all fall in together as one unit. So then we line up, we get all of our gear out of our cars. Everything is like super urgent, like everything is an emergency. Like even the littlest thing, like you are just going to the bathroom or like you're just cleaning up after a workout. It's like there's no walking when you're at the academy. There's no like dilly-dallying. It's like you're lining up for the day. The day hasn't even started yet, but like you're grabbing your stuff out of your car and you're like grabbing everything as fast as you can. You're like sprinting with all of your gear to go line up. And then so from there, we would get into inspections and the flag ceremony. So like we would line up, kind of do like our brief little roll call thing, line up, do the flag, set up the flag every morning and break it down every night. And then from there we'd fall out and do our inspections. So you're lined up, you're at attention, meaning that you're in a specific stance where your eyes are locked forward, you're not moving around, you're not talking, you're not looking around, you're just like laser focused like a robot, which is, very military-like. And then your instructor, whoever it is for that day, is going to come around and make sure that your boots are shined, your shirt and pants are ironed, you don't have any lint or strings or, wrinkles on any of your gear, your helmet's clean, you're freshly shaved, all that kind of stuff. And then so from there, after inspection, the chief might take some time to chat about things, or they might just say, hey, we're going into PT. And that's what it was a majority of the time for us. So we would, PT being like our workout, physical training, I think it stands for. So then we would go and we would change out of our full uniform, and the full uniform being like pants, boots, button-up shirt, just like you see like the firefighters when they're like at their most formal, essentially. So from there we would go and get our workout stuff on, and everyone had the same shorts, the same shirt with their last name on it. Like everything is everyone is like the same, like down to the water bottle you have, the duffel bag you have, like all of our notebooks and binders and pens and pencils. Like we all had a group chat before the academy, and we were all just dialed in on like everyone being the exact same. So you don't want to stick out, you don't want to stand out, you want to look like a unit. And if one person is, then the entire class is paying for it. And sometimes it might be like paperwork, like a write-up. Other times it might just be, extra workouts, burpees, running stairs, running laps, like push-ups, whatever it may be. So from there we get into our workout, do a little stretch, and a lot of times it's like a lot of cardio, high intensity workout kind of stuff. For me personally, like I love lifting weights, and like, for my cardio, like I'll do a little bit of the Stairmaster, go for a run. I like to play basketball. So like playing sports and stuff like that was the majority of my cardio. I wasn't doing like an hour and a half of cardio like every day going into the academy. I was more so into like lifting weights and stuff like that. So for the academy, I would emphasize, as far as like when you're preparing for it, doing a lot of cardio. There's never like too much cardio that you can do to prepare for the academy. You're going to be doing burpees and push-ups, a lot of body weight exercises as well, like calisthenics. That's something that the people that were training with calisthenics, those were the ones that were like the most prepared to handle these workouts. So I would definitely recommend planning ahead for that. Like obviously a little bit of weights here and there is good, just to build up your strength. But definitely focus on endurance-based workouts, high-intensity stuff. You're going to be doing burpees and like a lot of different circuits and stuff like that. So we usually work out for about an hour and a half or so, do a little cool down, and then after that we would go and like get a quick snack break, go fill up your water bottle, go grab a PB&J or a protein bar, whatever you had, some fruit, something to give you some energy throughout the day. And then it would kind of depend on like where we were at within the academy itself. But I would say like pretty average was like, we would either like go into the classroom and we would be like taking notes on the PowerPoint, because we do have a lot of exams in the academy, and you're expected to pass with 80% or better For us at our academy, if you didn't pass with an 80% or better on a test, then you have one chance to retake that test. And if you get lower than an 80% once again, then you're just straight up kicked out of the academy. If you do pass that second time, you get an A, then you're good to stay in the academy. But for us, we were only allowed what was called 5 substandards, or I guess 4.5, because once you get your 5th substandard, then you're out of the academy as well. So all those details are stuff that your specific academy will fill you in on beforehand at the beginning of the class. So obviously you want to hopefully get none if you can. But for us, we had plenty of guys, myself included, that just whether it was an exam or just also like for finals and for midterms, you do a lot of like skills testing as well. And then for those are like pass or fail, and those have the same repercussions as the written exams. So a lot of days we'd go into the classroom and study and prepare for those sorts of exams. Then we'd have like a lunch break around noon. And during your lunch break, you're kind of expected to eat as fast as you can, and then use the remaining time that you do have to go and train and work on skills. So if you're someone that's like really struggling with ladders, and you're going to be tested on it later on in the semester, like you would want to go and practice throwing those ladders, or pulling hose, or working on your ropes and knots, or like you're getting your what's called your SCBA, which is like your air tank, or turnout drills, like getting all of your turnout clothes. Like those are the big like fire resistant yellow suits that you see, getting all those on within a minute. So just like maximizing the time the best that you can to train and to practice and get ready to pass those midterm exams and then that final exam. Something super important. And obviously just for yourself, this is a career that you want to do, that you want to be a part of. So you want to prepare yourself to be as strong of a firefighter as possible. So then after lunch, typically we would go into like more training. And so sometimes it would be things to teach us, because you can't just go and say, hey, I want to throw ladders if you haven't been taught that yet. But once you are taught that skill, which is usually like we would do that usually in the afternoon or sometimes before lunch if we aren't doing a classroom day. Then from that point, once you've been taught that skill by instructors, then it's like, okay, you guys own that skill. Like we got a lot to cover. We're moving on, and it's up to you. It's your responsibility to find the time during lunch or whenever you can to practice those types of skills. So there's a lot of different things in the academy, like the academics and things like that. We'd get pop quizzes on certain things, and then other stuff we knew we had like scheduled exams, so we knew it would be an exam day, and they'll give you the rubric going into the academy, so you'll see what chapters you need to study. We had like a big textbook. Ours was the acronym is IFTSA, IFTSA. We had the 7th edition. Pretty soon though, a lot of academies are probably going to be moving into the 8th edition. So for me, I knew that academics were something that I wanted to emphasize focusing on as far as like preparing before the academy. So I made it a point to get the book early, get a highlighter, take notes, and just like read through that textbook. Not super exciting all the time. It's like 1,400 pages or whatever it is, and it's just like a straight up textbook, but it does help to familiarize yourself. And some of it you go through in class, some of it you're expected to just be studying and learning on your own throughout the academy. So that's what I would recommend, is doing everything you can to study. Pay attention in your prerequisite classes, like your college fire science classes. Pay attention. Don't just be like skipping through it and just going for the basic credit kind of thing. Like you want to actually learn it, because that is stuff you're going to be tested on and doing in the academy. So the more seriously you take that and studying beforehand, the less you'll have to worry about the academic side. And then you can just focus on being there, showing up every day, having a good attitude. You already have a little bit of background on your fire science, and then you can focus on other stuff. So that would be a little bit of a tip. from me. And then I mentioned earlier about like skills testing. So that is like a really huge part of passing that fire academy. So during midterms as well as during finals, they will pull you out usually like one by one, and you don't know what you're about to go test on, and they will just basically say like, you guys have been trained on everything, therefore I should be able to throw anything at you. So whether it's a 24-foot ladder, a 16-foot ladder, a 35-foot ladder, you have to go and make it happen. And they have a full rubric that there's like certain things that are automatic fails, and there's a certain passing score that you have to demonstrate in that skill. So definitely pay attention when you're doing all of your skills training. It's really long days. Sometimes it's really hard to, just even have the energy to stay focused, but just do everything you can to stay locked in, because it is stuff that you're going to be tested on, and it's truly stuff that you need to know. So as far as the different types of skills, some of it you can prepare for before the academy, like ropes and knots, for example. Like anyone can go and get themselves a rope from Lowe's or Home Depot and find a YouTube video on the different types of ropes and knots. Maybe that's something that, I could post on here, just kind of going through some of the basics. And then there's going to be other stuff, like I mentioned, the turnout drills. So that would be getting all of your fire gear on within 60 seconds or less, hopefully less. You want to have some wiggle room. So you want to, even if you're getting 57 seconds and you're like, cool, I'm good. It's like, keep practicing, try and get it lower, try and get it to like 40 or 45 seconds, because you never know when you're testing and it's finals and you're 4 months into the academy and like you're super nervous, and like all it takes is like a button or a zipper that starts like, jamming up on you. And then it's like, now you don't have any time to spare. So it's like, even when you feel like you're good, keep practicing, keep getting it more dialed in, and like strategize. Like, okay, try a method, like your most natural method, then maybe try something else that's like, okay, what if I like put my flash hood on first, and then, my pants, or like whatever it is that works for you. Just try different things and see different ways that you can improve your time. And that goes for the bottle apparatus as well. It's called the SCBA, the self-contained breathing apparatus. So that's like a big backpack that has your air bottle on it. And so this thing is huge. It's like 40 pounds or something like that. But you got to get it turned on. You got to get your face piece on, which is, what you're breathing air through, get your regulator all clicked in, everything like that. And that's the same 60 seconds as well. So it just takes time. Like that one for me was something that I felt like there's no way I'm going to get this under 60 seconds. Cause the first time I did it, I was at like 2 minutes or something. And I was just like, there's no way I'm going to get it down. But during lunch, that was something that I prioritized, because like I had already felt comfortable with ladders. I felt comfortable with the turnout drill. I felt pretty good with the ropes and knots and stuff like that, but I was like, this is what I need to focus on. And then it ended up being something that, I was able to do really confidently by the time midterms and finals came around. What are some other things? Hose lays. So you're going to have like it's called the attack line versus the supply line. The supply line is the really big one that's usually in the back of an engine. So for that, you have like all these different commands that you have to do. And you have to use the right technique, attach the line to the hydrant, and just basically like follow all the right steps, and they'll teach it to you. But you definitely just have to get those mental reps in, because you don't always have the opportunity at home to, find a fire hydrant and a fire engine with fire hose, but you can like imagine it, write it down, or just like do the mental reps, like just in your living room, imagining like, okay, I'm pretending like, the coffee table is my fire engine, and I'm pretending like that chair over there is my hydrant, like, walking through it step by step. What am I doing? What am I saying? And then just getting those mental reps, even though it feels silly at the time, then, when you are at the academy, it feels like, second nature. So there's that. There's also the attack line, which is, similar, except you're grabbing the hose pack and then you're, running it out to a door or a car fire, or like whatever the scenario is. And those have their own set of commands as well. The ladders, those all have their commands. You have different positions, different size ladders, different strategies for throwing it. So just, there's an app, the IFSTA app. It's the same brand. as the textbook. It basically is like an app for the textbook. And not only does it have that textbook like audiobook style, but also it has all these different videos of firefighters doing very specific skills. And so just watching those videos, and like whenever you have free time, just like, dedicate a few minutes to watch a couple of those videos every day or whenever you can. And just seeing them do it, and then you can start practicing it yourself, because a lot of that is stuff that you'll be tested on in the academy. So definitely my biggest advice there is not only focusing on the academics, but also on the skills as well, because it's not a guarantee that you're going to do it right just because you've learned it and practiced it a couple times. Like getting the reps in is super important. And then I guess I never kind of mentioned like what time we would usually get out. And kind of like after you're done with all of your like regular skills training and workouts and academics and inspections, like once you're getting into the later afternoon of the day, you've been there since 5:30 in the morning, technically starting at 6, but you're waking up at like 4 in the morning, because you got to be freshly shaved. For me, I had to drive like 45 miles to get there one way every day. So like, I was waking up a little bit earlier than some. But so like after you guys are like all done with everything, then you're doing your nightly duties, which is basically just like if you work at a restaurant, it's like doing side work. Like you're cleaning. Everyone has their own roles and responsibilities. A lot of times I was scrubbing toilets and mopping bathroom floors. Other times you're just like sweeping, picking up trash, cleaning the classroom, like cleaning up the offices, vacuuming, like just a whole bunch of different stuff like that. Or like if you guys made a mess when you were doing like some skills training, like let's say that you were ventilating roofs with chainsaws and you're cutting through all this wood, like, you guys are the ones that have to go out there and like sweep it up and get everything cleaned up. So some nightly duty sessions are longer than others. But typically it's like a lot of cleaning, sometimes an hour, sometimes a lot more. It just kind of depends. And then from there, we would pretty much just break down and fall out. The schedule would say that we were supposed to get out at 5 every day. But I mean, that was pretty rare, like, especially at the beginning. There's so much going on and so much that's new for everyone that a lot of times we were going till like 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Like I'm getting home at like 8:30. Traffic is like an hour and a half home. Like you're just exhausted, but then you're expected to come home and iron your clothes and eat dinner and shower and study for exams and study your skills and all this stuff. So that's why it's a lot. And by the time Friday comes around, you're just like so burnt out, but like you got to keep your foot on the gas, like get some good rest over the weekend. But also like I liked getting a little workout in on Saturday because I was missing like the feeling of like lifting weights and stuff like that. So that Saturday would usually be my day to just go to the gym, throw on some headphones and like lift some weights. But some guys just wanted to rest both days. Some guys wanted to do cardio. So, to each his own. But it is a lot, and it is important to try and prepare yourself during the weekend. Like for me, I bought 5 separate pairs of pants so that I could iron all of them leading up into Monday, so that I knew like, cool, I only had like 2 shirts. So those I would like touch up every day with the iron or the steamer, whatever I needed. But like the pants, I'm like, cool, I know that those are going to be ready to go. That saves you 15 minutes a night. And, time is precious during the week, especially of the academy. I would pretty much just like come home, shine my boots, shower, eat dinner, iron my shirt, study, try and get to sleep. You're going to have to get used to, some people are better than others. For me, I was hitting like 4.5 hours of sleep a night pretty much. So it does kind of wear you out, it does stress you out. And then obviously the environment while you're there is very stressful. So that's kind of the last thing I'll touch on. And I touched on it a little bit already, but just like the paramilitary professionalism and discipline that you have to have, like when he or she, your instructor, like when they ask you a question, even if it feels like a rhetorical question, like you can't go wrong with like, sir, yes, sir. Like acknowledge that you hear them, that they're being heard. And then obviously like implement whatever it is that they're telling you. But there's almost no easier way to make an instructor mad than just like they tell you something and you assume like, oh, they probably don't need me to respond to that or whatever. And then it's like, really, you're gonna like ignore me? Like that's like one of the last things. Like you don't want to talk back, even if you feel like you're just explaining yourself, and you don't want to be just ignoring them. So acknowledge what they have to say. Keep it professional when you do acknowledge them. There's nothing wrong with asking questions, but just like read the room. Definitely like know your audience. And by that, I mean like different instructors have different personalities. Like sometimes our primary instructor would be like a captain from a fire department who's just like coming in to help out. And then they might be like super chill, like laid back, like, you still got to get your stuff done, but it's like super laid back, not in your face. And then you have another instructor that's like screaming in your face, like, you picture like a straight up like a military type of scene where your drill sergeant is screaming at you, cussing you out. So like you have to be prepared for anything, and just keep it professional. Be yourself, I guess, but like don't try and be like the wise guy, funny guy, like attention, like that's not gonna help you. Try and like fight the urge to like be the funny guy, or like making comments, or like standing up for yourself if you have like a short temper. Like just breathe, be amicable, agree with what you're being told, even if it doesn't seem right. And then the instructors will appreciate that, because sometimes it is like a test. Like sometimes the instructors genuinely know that like, maybe you're not doing anything wrong, or like they're just having a bad day and they're kind of taking that on you a little bit. And you just, that's what you're there for. Unfortunately, like it's not my favorite part of the culture, but it is part of the culture. And it is something that you need to embrace, because at the end of the day, they're there for you and you're going to get a lot out of it. You're going to walk out a stronger, more disciplined person. And like, it totally changes like how you view yourself. And I know for me too, like it definitely impacted like the way that I kind of viewed work and like my work ethic, because like there were so many different times throughout the academy where I'm like, there's absolutely no way that like I can get out of bed right now, or that I'm going to be able to pass this test, or that I have the energy to study, or like whatever it is. But just like finding a way to keep pushing and getting it done. And then once you graduate and you're done, you're like, man, like I'm really glad that I didn't quit, that I stuck with it. And now like for me, it was a college academy, so I'm still applying to different fire departments. For other people, it'll be like basically the academy of their fire department. So it's like, let's say that let's say that Long Beach Fire Department hires you, sends you to their academy. Once you pass that academy and go through all of their other processes, backgrounds and interviews and all that stuff, then it's like, all right, you're good. You're starting probation. So you're in with them right away. For me and people that go to the college academy, it's like you got your certifications, which is great, but now you got to find a department. And a lot of those departments will have their own academy. Some of them are going to require you to already have gone to an academy to even apply. So that's why I did it, was obviously to get the experience. It was definitely tough, but I'm glad that I got the experience, because if I had to go to another academy, I'm way more prepared. I know that I can do it. I've gotten the training and the education, and I have a good idea of like, what the culture is like, what the schedule is going to be like. You can never know for sure, but it definitely prepares you a lot better going into it when you already have that experience. And then also it gives you way more opportunities to apply to departments, because like I said, there's a lot of departments that don't have their own academy. So it opens up a lot of opportunities to be able to apply to more fire departments. So I can get into in other episodes and stuff like that, talk more about the details on different training stuff at the academy, or I can talk more about EMT, what it was like going to EMT school, how to prepare for the NREMT exam, and then my experience working as an EMT. So I was a 911 first responder EMT right after I got done with my EMT classes. So that was before the fire academy. So maybe that's something I can get into in the future as well. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. I think I'll have just leave it in the comments if you can. Or I should have some email contact information there. More than happy to talk, whether you're in California or whatever other state. I'm sure a lot of the stuff can be applicable to you. So if you have any questions, just let me know. Hope you learned something from this, and I'll see you guys soon for episode 3.